I want to show you this story from CNN Business, and I want to give a special shout out to one of the most evil people in media, Brian Stelter.
Yes.
CNN writes this article, "These 4 words are helping spread vaccine misinformation." 4 little words, do your own research, are hurting the U.S. pandemic response, CNN's chief media correspondent Brian Stelter said on reliable sources. Now, this story is from last month, but I think it's very important because Brian Stelter also had a segment where he said, don't go and watch the propaganda, come to us. That's how you know you're being lied to. Because I tell you this, make sure you go and watch CNN, you understand their point of view. Make sure you're watching, progressives and conservatives so you get a healthy diet of perspective and then figure out what you think is right for you. Why? I'm not an authoritarian. And I think most of the people come on the show, some people are authoritarians, but most people aren't. And so what that means is it's up to you to figure out what works for you and what you believe. CNN is authoritarian. They're evil. They want to keep you in the dark so that you serve them.
They literally told you reading WikiLeaks was illegal.
Yeah, I remember that.
They literally came out on national television.
It's fine for us because we're journalists.
But you,
Chris
the peasant
Cuomo is a
class,
lawyer too. He has a law degree.
Exactly.
Oh, it's like the First Amendment thing. Remember that famous thing where he's like, who said a protest needs to be peaceful? And then Ramen Bro was just like, it's right there in the First Amendment. You just got to look it up.
I think listening and believing are different, and you want to listen with skepticism to as much as you can. Jacinda Ardern, is she the Prime Minister of
New Zealand?
New Zealand. She
We
said,
are your only source of truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like from a week ago, a video of her on Twitter I saw. It's so disturbing that she's telling people, do not listen to these other sources. Do not pay attention to them. We are only listen to us. We are the arbiter.
Something happened to the sort of wealthy white liberal mind, right? I don't know why that is, but I look at Australia and New Zealand and I'm like, this is what it would be like if the wealthy white liberals were completely in control of this country, right? If the Democratic Party didn't have, a big part of its constituency is like minorities. Like if it were just white Democrats, we would be like Australia and New Zealand.
Yep.
Guarantee it.
Yep. So we can every day just, give your respects to the right-wing nut jobs living in the mountains for helping keep this country balanced, I guess. I'm kidding, by the way. But
we do have it a lot better than other places. Some people often are like, man, I've seen something like America's gone crazy. I'm like, if you want to see crazy, there are much worse places to be.
It was so crazy what she said to an American, to me.
Check us out. We have it here in America. Lydia just pulled this article up from the New York Times. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Hold on. Get ready for this.
Yep.
Critical thinking, as we're taught to do it, isn't helping in the fight against misinformation.
Yeah, watch out.
Please. Okay, Brian Stelter is telling people, don't do your own research. The New York Times is saying, don't think critically. All right. It's like Ethan Klein said, you don't even have to think about it. You just go on the website and it tells you what to do. Congratulations.
Well, they want little peasant slaves, and they're doing the PR bidding of the ruling establishment that wants to control them more and have every aspect of their lives carefully coordinated in a way that directly benefits them.
This
is exactly what they're doing.
Sophisticated.
Yeah.
They think they're sophisticated people.
Well, they think they could fool everyone, and they have absolute disrespect for the general public. That's why they lie to them continually. That's why they're pushing this other nonsense onto people. And, for some people, they're not wrong. But for the majority of people, I believe they're totally wrong. And a lot of people saying, hey, they're telling me not to do my own homework. They're telling me not to do my own research. They're telling me not to critically think.
Look, to be fair, when they say not to do your own research, they're helping you because, as we know, it would be illegal, right? Chris Cuomo, it was Cuomo who said that?
Yeah, about
Cuomo said,
WikiLeaks.
we can look at these documents because we're journalists.
See? Now, what if you went and you did your own research and you broke the law, Luke? Don't think critically.
Well,
just go to the government's website.
The FBI has entrapped people for less already. So maybe you're not even wrong, to be honest with you. But again, this just shows you that the complete PR representation that the media really is. They're not journalists. They're not the mainstream media. They're just spokespersons for the super rich that are trying to placate you, pacify you, and make you comply with every crazy demand that they have for you.
Maybe some value, if they had rephrased this and it said, don't believe everything you read at face value. Look deeper.
No.
Come with
Do
skepticism.
critical thinking.
Yes,
Maybe
think
then
critically.
it would make, if they had the opposite message of what they had now, maybe
Yes,
then you can make an argument.
Ian, you're telling people to think critically.
Of course.
You're telling them, and they're telling people to do the opposite.
And either they're idiotically conflating the definition of thinking critically and don't believe everything you see at face value, or they're blatantly attempting to mislead people to become
I don't
sheep
know,
led to
maybe-
the slaughter.
Maybe Ian is a secret establishment shill because
Of course I am.
because
I've been called that a
well,
lot.
look, I'm
why I'm
going
here,
to say
baby.
this, but I'm being fair. You are postmodernist, and you often placate the things they're doing and try to find justifications as if they're doing something good.
2006, I started making YouTube videos. They contacted me October 2006. That's a joke, by the way.
I mean, postmodernism is a way to critique all this stuff. Like once you understand what they're doing, like you start reading Foucault. You know, Foucault is like one of the classic lefty thinkers, but a big part of Foucault's work is about biopolitics, like the management of a human population's health. Yeah. That seems really relevant right about now, honestly.
I went through a hard postmodernist phase where I started to think like that from like 2006 to 2008, and there's video evidence of it. If you want to watch it on YouTube, it was pretty crazy. But having gone through it, I can now see the pitfalls as if I'm experiencing what they're experiencing. It helps. And sometimes I'll bring that up on the show, and it's really kind of out of place on this show because we're talking more about like literology.
You know, people don't understand too. I think we can do the big, reveal. Ian actually, he normally wears a suit.
I'm taking my shirt off.
He normally wears a suit, and he walks around with his hair done up very properly, and he's got a British accent.
I do 2 hours.
This is we hired an actor. And
Wow.
we were like, we need a hippie stoner,
Thanks for doing my makeup beforehand too.
Yeah,
by the way,
Yeah.
It's just dirt. They just throw dirt.
It's a wig.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how much longer we'll last in this world, right?
In politics.
Well, look at what happens with Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
He does a comedy bit on a news story, and they come after him, and now there's a big story he can't talk about, and censorship is real. We set up. We may have Timcast.com, and we're working really hard. We're growing. Freedomistan is now in the ownership of the Timcast media growing conglomerate, which means we're going to be doing more culture content, more gun content. We're going to be having like range stuff training, and maybe even some CQC training stuff. So we're growing. We're definitely growing, and we want to teach people responsibility. We want to inspire people to take care of themselves, to think critically, but. We're still walking on thin ice. We're still traversing, flaming field. At any moment, we could be, cut back severely. It could make it very, very difficult to try and defend our ideals and our vision.
I think of it as a metaphor of like we're swimming upstream, and that's the political situation. We're all trying to swim upstream together. Then when we get to where we're going, there's all these other fish there, and this is the culture, and we're all kind of competing to get through. But then there's the gate of the dam, and that's the technology that we use. And unless we control the technology that we're using, there's no way to get up through that dam to get upstream any further. Yeah. So that's why we're building the Fediverse out.
It's not just technology and it's infrastructure, right? So the technology that's being built out with the Metaverse project, I think you've been calling it, it's infrastructure. Creating pathways for people to maintain communications, to persist as the likes of CNN and the New York Times try to curtail your ability to think or literally tell you not to.
And those are the people promoted. Those are the people in the algorithms. Those are the people in your news feeds. Those are the people you get notifications from, even if you don't follow them. Other independent voices that question, that try to have a debate here, that try to counter the narrative, that try to enter the conversation from a point of view that's not from the script, well, they get hit with fake news accusations. So this is the world that we're living in more and more, and their message is becoming more and more radical. I mean, telling people, if you're at a point where you're a media institution and your main headline is "Don't critically think," like that's when you know you're not a part of the good guys. That's when you know you're not doing journalism.
Seriously.
That's when you know you're not a reporter. You're a repeater for the special billionaire globalist class that directly calls the shots, that pays the bills, that influences our politics more than we could even imagine.
But let's also wrap this segment up on a high note. If the fact that we're here having this conversation and highlighting it is proof that victory is not only possible, but our mere existence and the success of this show and the work you do with Human Events and Luke, your channel, it's proof that victory has been happening. These are battles we win every day with all the work that we're doing, and for everybody watching as well, supporting the work.
And I mean, you think about like vaccine mandates, right? 6 months ago, they were saying, "Oh, of course we're not going to mandate vaccines," right? They were just relying on persuasion, and then 6 months later, they're mandating them. That's if properly viewed, that's a loss, right? That's a concession of defeat. Like you were not able to persuade people, and with your methods of persuasion. And so you resorted to government force, and like in so many other ways, right? The mainstream media, corporate media, has gone from we're not worried about these competitors. We are not, we are better at our jobs. We are more accurate. People are ultimately like some small fringe number of people are going to rely on crazies, but like most people will rely on us. And they've also given that up. They're like, oh, actually, we've lost that battle too. So now we need to like lean on the social media platforms and get them to shut up our competition.
Yep. And when we see them try and use extreme force against parents, I gotta say, a lot of this we may look. I'll say this. I may fear that who knows how long until they try and take out our channel or whatever, or delete it. But I will say there's a lot of indicators that they are struggling and they are panicking. And I mean establishment forces. That's major corporations. That's Republicans. It's Democrats. They are struggling. Mm-hmm. To maintain some kind of control.
When you're going after satire, when you're going after comedy, when you're going after memes, I mean, that's acts of desperation. I mean, this is what happened in Soviet-level communist countries. This is what happened to, my family in Poland. They made sure that musicians, comedy performers, poets, those are the first people that the Soviet Union went after because they influenced culture. They influenced the general public in a way that motivated them through art. And if I'm ever proud of anything, I'm definitely proud of my t-shirt store. I'm definitely proud of my ideas. I'm proud of my email list. That's very hard to take away because I have a physical copy of it. I'm very proud of my members area because this is something that I've been creating. And now that they're going after art, it's truly the last kind of sign of total... I don't want to be hyperbolic. I don't want to be too sensational, but we're reaching the point of absurdity. We're reaching the point that I believe is sort of dangerous because they're literally trying to hit anything that even goes against their cult, that even goes against their larger ideology, that goes against any kind of prevailing ideas that they want to throw at you. So this is absurd. I think it's definitely going to get worse. This is symbols of a very insecure, dangerous empire that, because of that insecurity, there's the danger. And that's something to really look out for.
When you say you think it'll only get worse, what exactly do you think would
happen?
Well,
when you have such insecurity, when you have such fear by the state that they literally have to hit satire, comedy, art, and run attack pieces on anyone who goes against them. Look what's happened to Kyrie Irving. He's being attacked viciously. He just came out with a statement today saying it's not about money, it's about freedom. And he's making a very important stand here. But everyone in the establishment, every sports commentator is regurgitating the same lines against them, the same talking points against them.
You should shut up and dribble, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much that's the points that they're making.
A whole bunch of white people telling a black man to shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny, right? Who said that first?
Laura Ingraham.
Laura Ingraham was one who did say it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about LeBron, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the difference is, and we mentioned this the other day, is that LeBron was opining on politics that had nothing to do with his game, whereas Kyrie Irving is saying like they're not letting me play unless I submit to this, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So they're very different
It
circumstances.
seems like the Republicans have the opportunity to be like the ultimate workers' rights party.
I do want to say too, a stupid comment from Ingram.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Like, look. I feel like the last 5 years there have been moments where you're like, okay, that was kind of dumb, right? Like you look back at sort of 2010 era GOP behavior, and you're like, not the greatest. Like that's kind of tacky, especially when they sort of demean workers and laud like CEOs and corporate people.
When I was talking to Charlie Kirk about a lot of these issues, he said the conservatives weren't ready for these things, talking about like populist ideas in the working class, not the working class specifically, but there's a lot of things where he was like, we didn't realize this, like the corporations and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking like, Jack Murphy mentioned that when the Republican Party said okay to gay marriage, that allowed him to be like, oh, okay, I can embrace this party right now. I actually feel like what's happening is the Republican Party has shifted to the left thanks to Donald Trump. A lot of independent voters were like, he's the guy I'm going to vote for because his politics align closer with mine. Populism, fighting back against the establishment, less so with traditional conservatism or anything like that. So now I see in this battle, there's a more moderate right concerned about what's going on. I think that builds a bigger coalition and more optimism, I suppose.
I think so too. And I mean, there's some Democrats who are ringing the alarm bell. I mean, something I guess I should have brought up for discussion is there's this op-ed about this guy David Shore, who was on Obama's polling team, and he's like a socialist, but he's one of these people who's like hardcore poll analyst reader, and he's like ringing the alarm bells at Democrats because he's like, hey guys, Donald Trump is really good for the Republican Party as a general matter because he reoriented their policy positions and their base to give them huge structural advantages in the Senate and the Electoral College. And like basically he's like, we need to radically restructure, we need to add states, we need to do all these crazy things in order to win. But like when Democrats are saying that, the point is like, yeah, Republicans are, this is why I'm not black-pilled at all. Like, if we can get past social media censorship and some of the other shenanigans, Republicans have a much more popular policy platform than they did 10 years ago.
But what's really funny? If you look at the polling data, the Democratic Party mostly likes the Democratic Party. The Republican voter mostly dislikes the Republican Party.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is funny that way. It's like they're just, maybe eventually these congressmen will finally kind of rotate out.
There is a record number of people running, is my understanding, for in the Republican in the races for the Republican primaries and for Congress. So I'm just saying, too many Republicans running is actually bad news for the Republicans. But too many Republicans running in the primaries is really good news.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, also without, any sort of suicide pact type stuff. Like, I mean, again, I'm going back to like Lynn Wood being like, don't vote for the Georgia Senate candidates.
You see that lie they put out there, like Donald Trump told people not to vote?
No, that was Lynn Wood.
It's insane. The story just came out. Daily Beast reporting that Trump said that if they don't if they don't like sort through the fraud, then Republicans won't be voting in 2022 or 2024. He didn't say not to vote. He was expressing his opinion that people wouldn't have trust in the elections and wouldn't come out.
Yeah, I don't know. I really am kind of annoyed by comments like that because Trump was president. He was empowered. He had the ability to do some stuff. Now he's not, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to blame anybody for like not getting the stuff done that needed to be done before the election, blame yourself. Yeah. Like that was your job.
Not to be too nihilistic, but I don't think we could vote our way out of this mess. Personally, myself, that's just my opinion. It might be too black pill for some people, but I do think it's going to be art, it's going to be culture, it's going to be memes, it's going to be ideas, it's going to be individuals standing up for their personal individual liberties and being personally responsible for themselves, moving away from such a draconian totalitarian system and deciding that they're going to be taking care of themselves by being happy, healthy, and productive as much as they can. And I think the reason that the state thrives off of so many people who don't think, people who are unhealthy, it's motivated in a way where you not being fulfilled, you being weak, makes the state stronger. So I think if anything's going to happen, if there's ever going to be a change, it's citizenry deciding to take care of themselves, take personal responsibility, be happy, healthy, and prosperous, and that will eventually reverberate and reciprocate into people moving away from the state and moving towards their own kind of individual liberty.
Yeah, and you pointed out if we can overcome the tech censorship, then.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.